Hey fans, I'm Dustin Davis, and I'll update you on everything happening in Chicago. The franchise entered the stretch with measured optimism, yet beneath the surface, fundamental questions have begun to multiply, forcing difficult conversations about what comes next. Those questions now define every choice the organization makes, with implications that reach beyond any single game or roster move. Let's check out some moves that will change the season. First, friends, can I ask for a small favor? If you're liking what we do, click the like button to show your support. It truly means a lot. Thanks again. The narrow 25-24 victory against Las Vegas felt more unsettling than reassuring. Miscues littered the field. Coaching decisions drew scrutiny, and the offense continued to struggle for identity. Kevin Byard's pair of interceptions offered defensive highlights, but the ground attack remained worryingly ineffective. Rather than providing clarity, the win underscored a growing problem. Without a functional rushing game to support Caleb Williams and sustain possession, Chicago's ceiling stays uncomfortably low. The front office now faces pressure to pursue realistic, immediate upgrades instead of chasing expensive gambles. A blockbuster acquisition before the November deadline seems improbable. Instead, Chicago could target a pragmatic addition, someone capable of either challenging for the starting role or stepping in as a legitimate interim solution. That approach addresses urgent needs without sacrificing long-term roster flexibility. The proposal centers on Carolina's reserve back Rico Dowdle. After recording 1,079 rushing yards as Dallas's primary option last season, Dowdle signed a modest one-year deal with the Panthers this offseason, $2.75 million guaranteed with potential incentives pushing total compensation above $6 million in 2025. In Carolina, though, he sits firmly behind Chuba Hubbard, who secured a 4-year extension last November. Dowdle hasn't exceeded 10 carries in any game this year, and his per-carry efficiency has dropped from 4.6 in 2024 to approximately 3.0 over his last 4 outings. That decline may reflect Carolina's broader offensive dysfunction rather than permanent erosion of his skill set. At 27, he remains well within his prime athletic window. Paired with Chicago's talented interior line and working within Ben Johnson's scheme, Dowdle could recapture the form that produced 1,000-yard production. More critically, he would give Williams the consistent ground threat the Bears have lacked all season, a tool to balance play calling and extend drives. Proposed trade package: Chicago Bears receive Rico Dowdle and 2026 7th-round pick. Carolina Panthers receive 2026 5th-round pick. Meanwhile, another NFC team is scrambling to fill a suddenly critical gap in their receiving core. New York absorbed a devastating blow in Week 4 when Malik Neighbors suffered a torn ACL. Particularly cruel timing after rookie quarterback Jackson Dart earned his first career victory as a starter. Losing an elite outside weapon dramatically reshapes the offense and creates urgent pressure on the front office to secure proven reinforcements. Expect New York to actively explore veteran candidates to fill the void immediately. CBS Sports' Jeff Kerr identified Chicago's DJ Moore as a potential candidate the Giants might contact. While New York still employs capable options in Darius Layton and Wan'Dale Robinson, the organization cannot reasonably expect Jalen Hyatt to replicate Neighbors' production. For a team determined to protect Dart's momentum, pursuing an experienced outside receiver makes strategic sense, even for a 1-4 squad not currently viewed as a playoff threat. Moore posted career best marks during his first Chicago season in 2023, 96 receptions for 1,364 yards and 8 touchdowns across 17 starts. Then followed with 98 catches for 966 yards and 6 scores in 2024. Before joining the Bears, Moore surpassed 1,000 receiving yards in 3 of his first 5 NFL campaigns. At 28 and entering his 8th season, he remains a credible primary target for a developing quarterback. Despite the conceptual logic, Chicago trading Moore stretches credibility. First-year head coach Ben Johnson is constructing the offense around Caleb Williams, and removing a top pass catcher would directly undermine that vision. The Bears also possess considerable receiver depth. Moore works alongside Rome Odane and rookie Luther Burden, with Olamide Zaccheaus absorbing targets as well. Moore's contract carries weight, but isn't prohibitive for a wide receiver one. A 4-year, $110 million extension signed in July 2024, running through 2029 with a roughly $24.9 million cap charge this season. If the Giants offered a package built around a premium 2026 pick, plus an additional fourth-rounder, GM Ryan Poles might at least entertain the conversation. Still, given Chicago's stated commitment to surrounding Williams with weapons, actually completing that trade appears highly improbable.
A fresh report suggests the Bears might be eyeing a more aggressive move to address their backfield struggles. Chicago's front office is undoubtedly monitoring the market following the Jets' recent collapse, a 27-21 defeat that dropped them to 0-4 and left the franchise visibly vulnerable. That kind of spiral can push impatient organizations to entertain offers on premier assets. For a Bears offense desperately seeking a legitimate backfield playmaker, Breece Hall suddenly represents a conversation worth initiating. New York's Week 4 loss to Miami devolved into chaos. Turnovers and penalties transformed a winnable contest into a mess, yet Hall still produced efficiently. 81 rushing yards on 14 carries and 5 catches for approximately 30 receiving yards. That kind of dual-threat production is precisely the injection Chicago's offense requires. Through 4 games, Hall ranks among the league's better efficiency marks, roughly 238 rushing yards this season with a 4.6 yards per carry average, numbers signaling playmaker upside rather than decline. He's also approaching a significant career milestone in scrimmage yards. A reminder, this represents sustained production, not a fleeting hot streak. DeAndre Swift's early season performance has disappointed, averaging about 3.3 yards per carry, and the Bears' overall ground game ranks in the lower third of the league. That combination creates both incentive and urgency to acquire a dynamic runner capable of relieving pressure on Caleb Williams and the passing attack. A reliable bell cow back transforms play calling, improves third down scenarios, and helps control game tempo. In this hypothetical, Chicago sends a 2026 fourth-round pick acquired from the Los Angeles Rams, plus reserve back Jaylon Johnson to the Jets for Breece Hall. On paper, that's a modest package for a young former first-round producer. It provides New York immediate depth and a mid-round asset, while delivering Chicago a top-tier option to pair with Williams. Critics will argue that a fourth-rounder and a depth back is steep for half a season, but the smarter framing is trade now, sign later. The Bears shouldn't view Hall as a temporary patch. They should negotiate with a multi-year perspective, establishing Hall's extension expectations before fully committing. Chicago has precedent. Ryan Poles acquired Montez Sweat at the 2023 deadline, then locked him up with a 4-year extension days after the trade. That blueprint offers guidance. Chicago's in-season cap flexibility is constrained but not absent. Over the Caps tracker shows modest operating space in 2025 and a projected 2026 deficit under current figures, meaning any long-term contract would require careful structuring or off-season adjustments. But it's also the type of constraint routinely managed by teams choosing to accelerate their competitive window. Hall brings downhill speed between the tackles and reliable hands. Paired with a stronger interior line and Ben Johnson's offense, he could elevate Chicago from a situational rushing team into one that controls possession and protects Williams. If the front office views Hall as a multi-year building block, a day 3 pick plus Jaylon Johnson represents a defensible price to shift the roster's trajectory now rather than waiting for uncontrolled free agency. At the same time, Chicago's secondary has emerged as another urgent area demanding immediate attention. Ryan Poles has established a reputation for bold, occasionally unexpected market maneuvers, and with the Bears thin at cornerback, one of the league's intriguing but inconsistent talents has reportedly drawn interest. Sources indicate NFL teams are monitoring Seattle's Riq Woolen as a potential deadline candidate, which makes sense, given his contract status and recent performance dip. NFL insiders reported teams are monitoring Woolen as a possible trade candidate ahead of the November 4th deadline. He's in a contract year and has experienced noticeable regression following a breakout rookie campaign. For contenders seeking to add length and upside to their corner room, that combination often sparks phone calls. As a rookie, Woolen exploded with 6 interceptions and a Pro Bowl selection, but his subsequent outings have been uneven. Advanced metrics and coverage grades this year have declined. Passer rating allowed and PFF grades suggest he struggled in coverage at times, which explains why Seattle could be open to fielding trade interest in a contract year. Still, Woolen's physical profile, 6'4", and ball skills are precisely the traits that can rebound quickly under proper coaching.
The Bears' defensive depth chart has been compromised by multiple absences. Pro Bowl starter Jaylon Johnson has been placed on injured reserve, and rookie Zahir Frazier was moved to the reserve non-football injury list for the season. Slot and tall coverage pieces such as Kyler Gordon have also missed time with hamstring trouble. That combination makes a short-term addition at outside corner especially attractive. Defensive coordinator Dennis Allen and secondary coach Al Harris have reputations for maximizing tall, athletic cornerbacks. A fresh schematic environment, immediate playing time with Johnson out, and an opportunity to showcase a late-season bounce could restore Woolen's market value if he responds. For the Bears, even a mid-season audition that yields confident play would be valuable, given their current depth problem. Woolen is a buy low target. The risk involves paying meaningful draft capital or cap space for a player coming off poor grades. The reward is securing a high-ceiling defensive piece who, if he returns to form, could anchor a corner spot for years. With financial constraints and drafts to protect, Chicago might prefer a short-term rental or a low-cost swap that minimizes long-term commitment while addressing immediate roster holes. In another development, analysts are proposing a different running back solution that could reshape the offense. Chicago's bounce-back victory against the Dallas Cowboys provided the franchise some temporary relief, but roster limitations remain glaring. Even with Jaylon Johnson landing on injured reserve with an outside chance of returning later in the season, the Bears appear unwilling to abandon the campaign. To mount a playoff push, they still need clearer answers in the backfield. DeAndre Swift's early season workload has been heavy but inefficient. 42 carries through 3 games with a 3.5 yards per carry mark, falling under 3.2 yards per carry in 2 of those contests. That pattern mirrors last year's struggles. Swift averaged 3.8 yards per carry in 2024, which is why a trade for Kenneth Walker carries logical appeal. Walker has shown steadier per carry output, 4.2 yards per carry this season, and could provide consistent bursts the Bears have lacked. Walker's trade value ties closely to his contract situation. He's set to reach free agency in 2026, and rookie Zach Charbonnet's growing role in Seattle suggests the Seahawks may be comfortable moving Walker if the price is right. That dynamic lowers the asking point for a contending team seeking immediate impact. The mock deal. The Chicago Bears receive Kenneth Walker. The Seattle Seahawks receive a 2026 third-round pick. Why Walker fits in Chicago? Walker wouldn't necessarily supplant DeAndre Swift entirely. The two players offer complementary skill sets. Walker's strengths are between the tackles and finishing runs, while Swift has shown value as a receiver out of the backfield, 42 catches for 386 yards. Pairing them could create a balanced 1-2 punch that protects offensive tempo and provides varied looks for defenses. If Walker stays healthy and finds more consistency, Chicago could pursue him in free agency, turning what appears to be a mid-season acquisition into a longer-term solution. Even if he's only a 1-year rental, the cost of a third-round pick makes the experiment justifiable for a franchise seeking a playoff push and confidence building for quarterback Caleb Williams. The Bears' defense has shown vulnerabilities in the early slate, and their division ranks among the toughest in the football, factors that temper optimism. FanDuel currently lists Chicago at plus 490 odds to make the playoffs, reflecting an uphill climb. Walker broke out as a rookie with 1,050 rushing yards and a 4.6 yards per carry average, but his production has cooled. Through 4 games this year, he has 58 carries for 244 yards, 4.2 yards per carry, and 3 touchdowns. That's a solid return, not an elite one, but it underscores why he's an attractive trade target for a team that needs reliable yardage and occasional explosion. The trade deadline is approaching fast, and the Bears face critical decisions that could define their season and beyond.